Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll talk syntax and commenting. Let's get started. So back in our text editor here, we have the print hello world statement from the last video. Now let's talk about how we can make a comment in our Python script. A comment in a Python script is just a line of code that isn't executed. So these are often notes for developers or programmers. So we can leave notes in our Python scripts throughout to let us know what we were thinking at that time. If we wanted to put a comment above our first line of code, we could drop that line of code down and then use a number sign. This number sign just denotes a comment, and this line is not read whenever we execute the Python script. What we'll do is we'll put the number sign and then try to always put one space after your comment. Then we'll pass in the comment that we want here. So this is our first Python script. And that's how we would make a comment in Python. Block comments in Python are done the same way. So if we wanted to do a block comment, we could drop down, put another pound sign, and then put in another line of text. This is a comment. The more comments you put in your script, the better it usually is, because this means that someone else can pick up your Python script and understand what you were thinking whenever you were writing it. Since Python emphasizes the ability to be able to quickly look at a Python script and understand what's going on, comments are always a good thing. Now let's talk about the syntax of Python. Python is one of the few programming languages that uses white space. Let's say that we have a block of code that looks like this. We have a variable x is equal to 1, and then we want to make a simple function. So if x is greater than 0, we'll put a colon here. Now watch what happens in the text editor whenever I press enter. It automatically spaces over 4 spaces. So whenever we have an indented block of code, we know that the control flow happens here. We know that anything that happens here belongs to this if statement. We'll use our function print, and then we'll say x is greater than 0. We'll save our file. We'll drop back down to our terminal. We'll execute the script again by pressing up, and then we'll hit return. And now we see we get the return x is greater than 0. This is because x is equal to 1, so therefore it's greater than 0, so we get this command. We see that if we were to change this to a different logic statement, so x is less than 0, hit save and execute again, we see that we don't get the return in this case. But we can drop down and put an else statement. So else here we see is lined up with the if statement. That just means that this new block of code doesn't belong to this if statement. It's actually its own statement, but whenever we drop down to the next line, it should be indented, which it is. We see that anything we put here now belongs to the else statement. So this is a new block of code. We'll use the print function again. X is less than 0. Now when we execute, we see that we get that return. Indentations can be thought of as just blocks of code. Here we have 2 blocks. Each control statement is at its own indentation level. We see that the if is lined up with the else. Each block of code following the logic statement is at its own indentation level. Each indentation level is just 4 spaces from the last one. Here we may be tempted to hit tab whenever we're indenting, but tabs may not be consistent across operating systems. So it's encouraged that we use 4 spaces to do this indentation. It's okay if you don't quite understand the logic of the if and else right now. All that's important for this video is that we understand how we can make a comment and also how we can indent blocks of code. In the next video, we'll dive into variables and data types. I'll see you then.